if you, as our presenters go through, if you have questions, I would save those questions and go to your instructional coach or your CIC during your PLCs today to get more in depth, because this is just the base of the foundation. There are certainly some really great extensions that you can go into, and how you can change it up to meet the specific needs of your department, of your subject matter. But this is just the framework from which we're building on. And so what we're talking about today is we're talking about the blended learning model. So the Seekerville virtual instruction model, it has these 6 components in it. We have the live whole group instruction, we have a live formative assessment, we have an on-demand independent work, we have small group instruction, and we have an exit ticket or demonstration of learning. Now, for those who are more visual learners and who like to look at things, this is kind of what it looks like. We're going to start over here in this area in our live group instruction. We're going to have our students come on the screen. We're going to greet them, and we're going to spend about 10 minutes doing our whole group instruction. We're going to give them a quick assessment to see where they stand at on this. We're going to give them a quick assessment to see where they are. And based on that, we're going to put them into 2 groups. We're going to either put them here in this on-demand independent work, where they can work independently within a group on Zoom, or we're going to give them an on-demand choice board, and we might differentiate the instruction, and where we might give some more personal one-on-one instructions. After about 15 minutes, we're going to come back together for our live targeted group. And then we're going to finish down here with our on-demand exit ticket. And so we want to make sure that when we do our on-demand exit ticket that we're closing the lesson out. And so we put time frames in here for you to get an understanding of how these times might fit together, how these components relate to each other. But I know y'all probably want to get a little bit more in depth with that. And so in our live instruction, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Aiken. Ms. Aiken, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself and kind of go over this little piece for our participants.
All right, and I've got some stuff up on my screen that I could share. If you feel additional clarification is needed, just let me know about that. So for live instruction, this is going to be us doing the I-dos very much just like a Zoom meeting with the kids before we release them to go on and do their own independent work. And this is going to be the most important part of the lesson, because this is where we're going to be explaining to them, giving them our expectations, and answering questions that they've got in the immediate before we let them go. It doesn't need to be complicated at all. I feel like we've all gotten fairly comfortable with the format of these Zoom meetings and with sharing screens and such things. Some good examples of the way you could work these I-dos would be discussing the LOs and the DOLs with the kids, because we do need to set our expectations with that and talk about it. This is what you're going to be doing today, and this is how you're going to show me that you've learned it. That being said, let's move into our lesson. You could walk them through doing some DBQs with this, or doing a math problem, or teaching them a formula in science. You model it for them so that they can watch you, and this is the part where you're going to be getting the questions from them. This is a really great part to use the all-in web clickers that I talked about with you guys a little bit last week. You can put up a video for them, and while the video is playing and you're sharing your screen, you can pause the video. All right, kids, what did we just see here? What year, according to the video, was Jamestown? And they've got to click it in, A, B, C, or D. That way, you know that they're paying attention, you know that they're focusing, and you're actually getting the immediate data to see how well they're processing what they're meant to be learning, so that you can go back and correct any misconceptions. It's also a good place for you to think aloud and show the kids how to analyze whatever visuals you might have. In history, it could be political cartoons, and teaching them how to use optics. In ELAR, it could be showing them how to use cups with some of their readings, etc. just a couple ideas. And that's all I have, unless you'd like me to share a screen and show some of the things that districts put together for this.
If you could just show a few things that the districts put together for everybody.
Okay, let's see if I can share. I can't, I need you to, hang on.
Stop share. Yeah, stop share.
Okay, let's see if this works. All right, so these are some examples of how the district thinks that these live interactive I-Dos could look for you guys. Of course, what I'm about to show you, what I'm going to click through for you, is all been pre-recorded, but you would be actually working through it with the kids yourselves. So, for instance, the do now goes up. Can everybody see this? All right, so the do now, we're going to click present, goes up. They would have, all right, kids, you've got 5 minutes, analyze the map, answer the questions with it. You give them 5 minutes, and then this is, I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's, hello, everyone. You should have already taken. All right, so that's me just talking through it. So give them the do now, talk them over the do now, and then you would pull up the objective, go over that, go over the DOL, and here's the video. And the video would be where you could pause it, ask them the questions, in this case about the French and Indian War, and then here would come the actual I do piece of the lesson. So you could put it up, read through one question, think aloud. By 1750, Britain and France had become serious, what? Serious rivals because, and you walk them through the first 2 or 3, and then you get any questions, correct any misconceptions, and just release it to them. It's pretty much exactly how you would do this in your classroom. The only difference is instead of walking around the classroom and talking to the kids and handing them papers, they've got everything up here on the computer screen. Same thing, slightly different format. Any questions? And I'll give it back to you, Mr. Bolin.
Thank you. Is it still showing my PowerPoint? Sure. Thank you, Ms. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Okay, thank you, Ms. Aiken. We also have our live formative assessment, and to talk to you about our live formative assessment is Ms. McCown. Ms. McCown, if you go ahead and unmute yourself and take it away, please.
Okay, basically when you do a live formative assessment, you are checking to see what your student know before you get to the DOL. And it's certain things that you can do is quick write. You can have them write a summary of their learning. They could do a minute paper. They could do 3, 2, 1. Tell me 3 things you found out, 2 things that was interested, 1 things you have learned, and they can also rate themselves. And in the next presentation that you will be encountering is making tech tools work for your classroom. I will show you more in depth on how to do that.
Thank you, Ms. McCowan. We also have our independent work, our you-do parts, and to kind of go into a little bit more detail about that, we have Ms. Peterson. Ms. Peterson, if you would go ahead and speak, please.
Okay. Just like in the regular classroom setting, independent work is pretty much shifting the learning process to the students. It provides the students to have the opportunity to practice the new knowledge acquired and expand their skills and knowledge set. In other words, students in the virtual setting, how would it look? Pretty much what we have discussed is that they must stay on the Zoom. so that we can see that they are actively participating. This could be having the kids to read a text and answering a series of high order questions, solving a set of numbers and mathematical problems, etc. So independent work is what it is. It is independent work with little to no guidance from the teacher. Mr. Bowling.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. And then we also have the other option of choice boards of differentiated instruction. And going over this will be Ms. Pounders. Ms. Pounders, if you would go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. The choice boards are a form of differentiated instruction. It could be a graphic organizer that allows the students to move at their own pace and have a choice over what they learn and how they interact. It will take some planning beforehand. However, it increases the students' ownership and it gives teachers the opportunity to see what they learn at the different levels of learning. Today after lunch, I will go into how to differentiate your instruction.
Thank you, Ms. Pounders. Once we complete these sections, we're going to be moving into our small group instruction, the We Do part. And to kind of go over this a little bit is Ms. Moore. Ms. Moore, please.
Yes, your small group instruction part, we take it more of almost what your We Do in your lesson cycle. By the time you have did your live lesson is with your whole group, as well as your formative assessment, and then moving into where your students are independent practicing and having that choice with differentiation, your small group is your checkpoint before your students get to their exit ticket. Your students that you have pretty much, I want to say your aggressive monitoring, but being virtual, this is going to look a lot different for us. But your students that you have monitored and noticed where they may be struggling in certain parts of the lesson and you know your end goal and what they need to know in that exit ticket, you will form a group with them. That's where your breakout rooms will become very important. You can have your breakout sessions. You can also pre-set these groups as well, as you already know, to have that small group ready. Or like I said, doing your lesson of that day. To me, that's why it's very important to have a pre-recording of your live lesson with your whole group or of your entire lesson, because by the time you get to this small group, this could also be a time where you have saw those students that are far beyond, they're not struggling, they got this. You can release them with them still being able to go, release them for their exit ticket. With them still, if something come up, they have your pre-recording part to go and look at again, the I do or the live session. It may be able to help answer any problems they have in then. So that's the importance part with your small group instructions.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. And then to wrap up our lesson, we always have our exit ticket. And to kind of go into a little bit more depth for our exit ticket, we have Ms. Wright. Ms. Wright, please.
Okay, so for your exit ticket, we will be using the All in Learning platform, which this year has been modified to where you can do short answer or StarLine questions. And if you've attended any of the All in Learning trainings that have been updated webinars on that, and you can see those on YouTube if you need additional learning on that. Also, this is the time in which you'll take the time to review the data in the moment. So when you're doing your DOLs and your exit tickets, you want to address those misconceptions in the moment and then plan for your reteach the next day to ensure mastery. In All in Learning, there's also the ability to have teachers receive profile sheets as well.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Now, we just want to make sure that y'all understood, this is just the basic lesson cycle that we'd like y'all to follow. as I said, that there's many more models that we can also choose from that we can take components of. I know that for English and for math, y'all have a little bit more of a different time allotment for y'all because y'all are block classes. And so y'all might have a little bit more breakout areas or breakout sessions that are involved in your lessons. But this is just that what we'd like to see across the board on just a basic foundation level for all classes, for our elective teachers, for our science, for our social studies, for any instructional that we will be providing to our students. And that just kind of gets our campus more on the same page and going in the same direction, and everybody pulling with the same oars to help us get our ship going to where we need to go. I know that we're a little bit early on time, but Ms. McCowan was begging me. She said, Mr. Bowen, I need some time with this tech tools that I want our teachers to have. And so we're going to take a short break. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Du Bois, but we're done with our part here. And Mr. Du Bois, if you'd like to go ahead and take it away, I'll stop my sharing part.
All right, so thank you all for participating in that. It is on my watch. Well, my MacBook is 9:36. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a 5-minute break and then we'll join Ms. McCowan. So Ms. McCowan will start around 9:45. So we'll see you all in about 10 minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Bowen, take your messages.
I saw that. I hadn't had a chance to respond yet.
You did really good. Yay.
Every once in a while, a blind squirrel find a nut in a forest.
I knew it was gonna come a joke somewhere in there though. I was like, oh, look at Mr. Bowen being serious today. Okay, well,
I'm gonna go walk around. I gotta get out of my office.
all right. I'm trying to
Good
get ready
seeing
for
you, Ms.
4-year-old.
Stanton.
All right, bye.
All right, some people are asking, do y'all stay in this session? You are leaving this session and going to the, we're going to be a little early in Ms. McCowan's, but go ahead and leave this session and join the 10 o'clock session. Thank you.